So a couple of weeks ago, one of our organists for Friday Pipes recital series noticed that one of the pedals was sticking on a little bit. You would play it and you'd release it, and it wouldn't shut off right away. I had kind of noticed it too, but he really was starting to see it. So I pulled out the pedal board, which fortunately on this organ is easy to do, and checked out the contacts underneath. And in fact, one of the springs that returns the contact to the off position was starting to fail, and had half of it had broken. We've actually already had all of these contacts replaced. The original ones that came were starting to break a long time ago, and I talked to the builder who said, "What color were they?" And I said, "Oh, they're black springs." He goes, "Okay, I'll be there." And within a day, I think he was down here with a whole set of copper springs. So apparently the design of these contact springs was already a problem, and the company had done a warranty replacement on all of them. So we had new springs. Well, here we are 5 years later, and it's starting to maybe happen again. Maybe, unless we'll see. This was right in the middle. It's possible somebody stepped on it, put too much weight. So what do you do in that situation? We've got to have the thing playing, especially if it's a middle D. So the easiest thing to do is to pull out the pedal board and to check out the contacts underneath. And because they're all little individual contacts, you can just take off one that you're not going to use a whole lot and replace it with the one that's more important. So I went and grabbed top F sharp, because that's not a note you use a whole lot. That's not one that you play much. I was able to put it in under middle D. And so while top F sharp no longer works, middle D does work, and so that's probably more useful. So I called the company and said, "Here's the situation," and without question, they sent me a replacement. And when you know it, this week, one of the organists practicing said, "Hey, top F sharp doesn't work. How often do you use that note? Why are you using that?" So we have the replacement spring, and that's what we're going to be replacing today, so that we can make all 32 pedals work. So the contacts are pretty simple little things. They have a screw here that you adjust where the pedal presses it. And when your pedal presses down, it moves this magnet close to a reed switch. A reed switch is just a little pair of metal wires, and when the magnet gets close, they touch, and then they spring back apart. It's sealed in a vacuum glass tube, so there's no dust, there's no air that can cause a problem. All you have to do is put a magnet close to it. That's what that is a little magnet. The spring returns it to the off position when it's back up. And because it's not physically attached to the pedal just presses it. So I don't know if you can see here, but on the spring that returns it to the off position, the metal has gotten brittle, and it's just broken right off. It's still got one, so it still kind of works, but it's not as snappy as it should be. So we have a replacement. All we have to do is attach it. It's just held on by a couple of screws. There's a pair of contacts there where the wires connect. That's all it does, is it just connects these two wires together, and that's your contact for the pedal. So let's get that back on. So here's the one I took off. Top F sharp is missing. There's nothing in there. The cable's just hanging loose. So all we have to do is reattach. The screws are still there, and then we can make that key play again. There's a very tiny difference in the new contact as opposed to the old ones, in that the holes where the screws will mount are much more oval. So there's a lot of play that you can use to adjusting the height of the contact. So we're going to have to be really careful to make sure that this one is the exact same height as the others, because those just have a round hole, so there's only one place you can put the screws to hold them in. So we'll see if we can get that adjusted right. Now we reattach the cable. And so now with the organ turned on and some stops drawn, if I play the key, it works. But I have to push it down really far, so I need to adjust this contact screw to make sure it's hitting the pedal at the exact right spot. The AGO standards say that a pedal key right at the front of the sharp should depress a half an inch, and I think I'm going farther than that. But the easiest way to tell, I don't have a measuring tape here, is just to press the key next to it and see if they both play at the same time. And the top one is playing first. So I need to make this contact closer. So the way I do that is to just tighten the screw down. Almost there. Now they're playing at the exact same time, so they've got the exact same depth of contact. There's a version of the AGO console standards that's floating around on the internet that has been attributed to several people who've put their names at the bottom of it. But if it looks like this is one I actually put together years ago at the Wix Organ Company. The console department at Wix had a ratty old piece of paper that they used in their shop. They didn't actually rely on this document for console standards, but they had it there in case they needed it. They actually had all their own designs on paper, but I thought it was time to update these and get a nice modern version, so I put out a PDF on the internet, and some of them floating around still have the Wix logo on them, but if you see a design that looks like this, that's my drawing that I copied many years ago. There we go, the pedal's working, so now we've got all 32 keys playing, and we're ready for concert on Friday. Join us every Friday here at Third Baptist Church for the Friday Pipes Concert Series, 12:30, half-hour recitals, they're free. We have a reception afterwards where you can meet the artists and meet the other attendees. I hope to see you on Friday.